Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Tales of Logistics. This week, we are focusing on one of the most intriguing parts of supply chain network, and that part is the last mile delivery. But before I continue, if you have ever wondered why your shipment overseas is taking way longer than expected, or why shipping lines are now avoiding the Red Sea, or even how shipment rerouting is impacting delivery time and cost, I talked a lot about that in episode 8 of my podcast titled The Red Sea Reroute. Please go take a listen or visit talesoflogistics.com for fuller experience. We appreciate your support by subscribing, by following our podcast channel, so you don't end up missing any episode appeals to you. So now let me take you back to why we are here this week. We are talking about the most common yet intriguing parts of logistics and e-commerce. That is the last mile delivery. Now, do you know that the last mile delivery can eat up to 50% of the total logistics cost of a package? Now think about it truly. Why does a short distance that usually doesn't exceed more than 10 kilometers cost more than the entire journey from a factory across the world? Now, that's something we're going to find out today. So please stick with me until the end of the episode, and you not only understand why, but you also discover how companies are trying to solve the problem of last mile delivery costs. And before we really talk about how companies are solving or trying to solve the last mile delivery cost, what is last mile in itself? Well, there's a lot of chain involved in the supply chain of a package that you literally ordered on an e-commerce platform, say Amazon. Now, the last mile delivery starts literally from when that package gets to the distribution center or to the warehouse. And the moment that package gets to the center and sets out of that distribution center, the last mile delivery has kicked into place. So the truck that takes the package down to your doorstep from the warehouse, from the fulfillment center, is known as the last mile. Now, it sounds a bit simple, but in practicality, it's the most unpredictable part of supply chain. I'll give you an instance, and I will give you an instance from my experience on Amazon. So, say for instance, a truck driver gets to the station, loads up his van, and loads it up with about 250 packages. This is an instance of how simple yet unpredictable the last mile delivery can be. Now, inside this van of 250 packages, some of these packages will go to apartment towers. Some of them will go to rural homes that are miles apart. Some of them will require signature, and some will just be left outside the door. And if it happens that the customer is not at home and the apartment or the building is so busy that it's not safe to leave a package on the front door, these packages will have to be redone or reattempted later or taken to the station. So these are different challenges, unpredictable challenges that contributes to making a last mile delivery a bit more expensive. Now, if we talk about the first mile or the second mile, let's just say we use an example of a container moving from Asia to Europe or from Asia to North America. An ocean freight container can cost about $2,000. It doesn't have several stops. It just moves from one country to another country. But a last mile delivery can cost lots more than that because of all the aforementioned unpredictable challenges that can arise from that. Now, I'm going to try and break these challenges into 3 main categories for better understanding, and I will speak about it from a position of experience, my experience as a dispatch/delivery driver in Amazon. Now, the first factor that makes it more expensive, that makes the last mile more expensive than even an entire shipment of container from Asia to North America by hundreds of dollars, is the fragmentation of deliveries. You see, for a container leaving Asia, for instance, China or Hong Kong, and coming down to Canada or the US, it has a port of departure and a port of arrival. One destination, that's where it's going. Now, for last mile deliveries, it can have hundreds of mini destinations. I'll take it back to the delivery driver that just arrives at the fulfillment center or the distribution center, loads his vans with 250 packages. And there's a high chance that those 250 packages are going to 250 stops, mini destinations. So we have time that will be consumed. We have fuel that will be consumed. And if these packages are same-day delivery, it's even worse because you need more hands. You're trying to meet up a deadline. You need more hands. And when it's peak seasons, there are a lot more packages because in peak seasons, you have people who are ordering for more things. I'm talking about Christmas holidays, Halloween holidays, New Year holidays, Amazon Prime Week. There are a lot of packages during this period. And so everyone is so busy having his vans full of packages that needs to be delivered. And the farther you go into the rural area to the countryside, the far apart these houses are. And the more you drive, you sometimes drive for 10 minutes between houses to deliver, in some cases, just one package. So those fragmentation of mini deliveries, those fragmentation of destinations increases the cost, increases the time, and even increases the amount of labor that will be needed to deliver those packages. Now, the second situation is tied to the first factor. The second factor is failed deliveries and returns. This is something that is very common with deliveries. It's something you know that most likely is going to happen. And the days you return to the distribution centers or to the warehouse without a single package that is not delivered, you would be so happy. Every delivery driver who returns to the station with empty bags, like literally empty bags, with no single package is always happy. The ugly truth about returns have really caused a lot of impact negatively on the supply chain network, or literally on the e-commerce industry. I talked about the ugly truth about returns a lot in my episode 5 of my podcast. You can go take a listen. In that podcast, I mentioned that studies have shown that up to 15% of the deliveries fail in first attempts. 15% of the deliveries that a particular delivery guy sets out from the distribution center, heads towards his location full of mini destinations, up to 15% of those first-time trial fail. Now, why? Why would 15% of 250 packages fail upon first-time delivery? You'll wonder. I'll give you real situations why they fail. I'll start with wrong addresses. There have been circumstances where people move from a different place to another place and they forget to change their address. And so they make a purchase for an order. And then we take those packages to the wrong address. Why? Because the person who ordered the packages no longer live in that apartment or live in that house. And so what do? You return the package. So you call the customer. If you're fortunate enough and the customer picks the call, the customer can give you a new address. The second point has to do with security restrictions. And there are some places where you cannot access. There are some apartments. There are some streets that are closed because of constructions. There are some streets that are closed from vehicles, so they are only accessible by foot or by bicycles. And those places, you cannot just access them. And so what do? You'd have to park your van probably 3 streets away from the streets you go into and put all those packages in the bag, hoping that when you get to that apartment or to that house, you meet the customer. If you do not meet a customer, which happens a lot, you take those packages back into a van. So that first attempt has failed again. Another situation is customer signature. Now, it becomes more common that customers get packages, mainly sensitive packages or expensive packages on e-commerce platform, and they want either themselves or someone from that home to sign on the package. And if that person or anybody is not at home to sign off on that package, it cannot be delivered. So no matter how many times the delivery person puts a call, send a text, try to reach a customer. If the customer is at work, far away from his phone, probably sleeping, that first attempt will fail because the delivery guy cannot deliver that package. Then you have literally nobody just being at home. Like there's no one at home. You call, you ring and you ring and you ring the bell 3-4 times. There's no one at home and there's just a little amount of time you can ring because you have lots of packages that are time sensitive. You need to get these packages done within the 10-hour limit you have to work in a day, plus break. So you fail on that first attempt because maybe there are codes, and so you need to put the access code before you can get access into the building itself, and the customer is not there to give you the access code. The customer did not put the access code in the message that was supposed to be in Amazon, so Amazon didn't get anything from the customer to give to you to access the building, so you have to retry the package later. So there are so many factors that leads to failed delivery on first trial. I can argue that the 15% of failed delivery on first attempt, it's little. I think it's way more than that. And it's not a good feeling for the dispatchers, for the delivery guys, because first of all, they don't want to leave your package outside. If it gets stolen, it rubs on them. It's a bad impression and they're going to get queried for that. And so they want to try again later. And that first attempt has to do with time that is spent, fuel that was burned, and they may have to try again later, probably past 9 p.m. And when you try again later, most often we are successful in delivering the packages to these homes. Sometimes we just don't succeed. So in this situation, we bring back the packages to the distribution center. Now, the third crucial factor that usually affects why last mile delivery is expensive is customer expectation. Now, there's nothing wrong with customer expectation. Customer expectation being met means more customers, and your customer clientele continues to increase because your business continues to expand. Customers trust you. It builds loyalty when you meet their expectation. However, it places a burden on the system. In episode 3 of my podcast, I talked about free shipping and the challenges that comes with free shipping. You see, customers have expectations. We're talking about same-day delivery. We're talking about 2 days delivery. So a customer gets a package today on Amazon Prime. He's expecting to get the package delivered to his doorstep tomorrow. And even if it's just one package miles away from the distribution center, it has to be delivered. Now, that delivery itself is cost to the distribution center, cost to the workers in the warehouse, cost to the delivery personnel. So these factors are the loudest, if I have to say it that way. The lots of many destinations that may or may not be met, and you have failed attempts on first deliveries. You have to return some packages to the warehouse, customers' expectations. So these factors that may be or may not be in the control of the e-commerce platforms, in the control of the delivery management platforms, it would have to be added to the costs of the last mile delivery. So these are the reasons why last mile delivery are expensive. Let me just give you 2 real cases. The first one is DHL. Now I'm going to take you down to Europe. You see, DHL took their time to analyze their e-commerce network in Europe. And guess what they found out? They found out that the last mile delivery accounted for 53% of their total logistics spending. Now, the real pressure did not come from the distribution center itself, or from the warehouse, or from packaging and labeling the products. No, the real pressure came from customer expectations. Customers were expecting next day delivery. Next day delivery means DHL have to meet that expectation, because that means you have more loyal customers. But to do that, DHL had to deploy smaller vehicles more frequently. And those smaller vehicles means more fuel, means employing more labor, and means spending more time to meet customer needs. Now, let me take you away from Europe and bring you down to the United States of America. And here we have UPS. So UPS had to analyze two last mile delivery situations: last mile delivery to commercial territory and last mile delivery to residential territory. And guess what they found out? They found out that the last mile delivery to residential territories had 40% higher cost per stop. 40% higher cost per stop. Now, why? You see, with commercial territories, even if you have 300 packages in a truck with some of the packages weighing about 50 pounds, 70 pounds, you could literally clear 30 of those packages in one commercial stop. So you drive your van to the commercial territory. You're talking about a tower that has about maybe 5-6 floors. And in those 6 floors, you have 5 different businesses where you have to deliver your packages to. You could clear half of the package just on that one stop. So you don't have to go drive, stop. No, one commercial building, one tower, 10 different floors, 10 different business centers. You could just deliver over 50 packages. But with residential territories, you could have 150 packages for 150 homes scattered within those places, mainly when it comes to rural geography. For rural geography, it's even a lot more. You will see settlements that are far apart and you have to drive from one building to another building, 10 minutes, 15 minutes in between for 2 or 3 packages. So when UPS analyzed the commercial territories and the residential territories for last mile delivery, it became pretty clear that the residential territories were costing them 40% higher than the commercial territories. So we've seen 2 scenarios right now. We've gone to Europe, analyzed DHL, we've come to US and we've analyzed UPS. So the question now is this: what's the way forward? Because this cost is trickled down to we the customers. So what are these giant e-commerce platforms and delivery 3PL, 4PL companies doing about this last mile delivery? How can they cut down on the cost? Some of them, like Amazon and Walmart, are doing something they call getting close to the customer. So that's why Amazon have warehouses strategically placed in places that are closer to the customer. That way, the amount of time expended on the road trying to go deliver packages is reduced. The same thing with Walmart and other distribution companies that are beginning to adopt such model. And we also have this new structure that buildings are putting in place. It's common in Asia and even in North America, and it's growing in Europe. This has to do with apartment buildings or high-rise towers having locker rooms, and the locker rooms are fantastic. It saves the delivery guy a lot of time and energy climbing floors from one floor to another. It's just excellent. So what you do is, as a delivery guy, when you bring all the packages for, let's just say, this tower that has about 12 floors, you just take all the packages and just walk into the locker room, which apartment you want to deliver the package to. You put it in the screen, apartment 10, for instance, and the names of the person living in that apartment will pop up. You cross-check it with what you have on the packages. Next thing that comes up on the screen is what size of the package. Is it small? Is it medium? Is it large? Is it extra large? You put the package in the box, close the box, and that's gone. Next. So you repeat the same process for all the apartments in that tower. And you don't have to go to any floor. You're not using the elevator. You're not using the stairs. You're just in the locker room and you're done in that building without stepping out of the locker room. It saves a lot of time. And then we have app optimization. Amazon has that too. Very fantastic. So what it does is if you go to a particular location to deliver a package, the AI in the app kind of analyzes all the stops that are close by and then it clusters them together. That way, you don't have to come to this place 3 or 4 times again after you leave that territory. So you stay there, look at the stops. For instance, you have stop 1, stop 10, 15, 20, 25, 40 stops. The AI clusters all of them together. Then you take care of these many destinations for good. You don't have to come back here again, because if the AI does not do that for you, you could have stop 25 in XYZ street. Then you have stop 60 in XYZ street. Then you have stop 150 in XYZ streets. If the AI does not consolidate those stops for you, you would waste a lot of time driving and you may not even finish all your stops. So with that consolidation of stops that are at close proximity, it makes it much more easier for the delivery personnel to finish on time, to save energy and to save gas. So these are some ways that e-commerce companies and 4PL, 3PL companies are trying to see how they can maximize resources for the last mile delivery. And the truth is that there is no one-size-fits-all solution for last mile delivery because there are a lot of factors that needs to be considered. Urban, rural, groceries, electronics, developing and developed market. So you cannot use the same strategy that works for urban deliveries. For rural deliveries, you cannot use the same strategy for grocery deliveries, for electronics. However, companies are still trying to come up with better solutions to maximize resources and reduce spending and costs. So let's circle back and reanalyze what we've talked so far. The outstanding question was, why does the last mile delivery eat more than half of the total logistical cost? We've talked about it. We said it's because it's fragmented. We said it because it's unpredictable, because it's labor intensive, and it has to meet customers' expectation, same day or 2-day delivery. Then we talked about the need for these expectations to be met because it builds you customers' loyalty. For the 3PL, 4PL e-commerce platforms, it gives them loyalty, and more loyalty from customers means an increase in business. So you need to meet those expectations. And then we talked about how major companies, distribution companies are trying to maximize and reduce the cost of last mile delivery. We talked about locker rooms. We talked about AI and dispatch delivery driver apps that the drivers use in doing that dispatch delivery. But one thing that stands out in all of this is that our packages are always delivered when we need them. And who are the ones that do this? It's the dispatch delivery guys, the delivery personnel. These drivers, come rain, come sun, come winter, come cold, they're there in the streets, they're driving through this weather to ensure that our packages are delivered when we expect them. So I'm putting a shout out to all the last mile delivery personnel out there, the ones that are working currently, the ones that are yet to resume, the ones that are trying so hard to find how to get to our streets because of the constructions going on, the ones that are trying to reach us but can't reach us and have to come back again later at night to deliver our packages. And putting a shout out to you all. You're doing a good job and we all do appreciate what you're doing for us all. So thank you for turning to Tales of Logistics. If you really enjoyed this episode, please share it with your network, leave us a review, and check out more conversations we've had on talesoflogistics/podcast. Again, talesoflogistics.com/podcast. Until next time, keep your supply chain moving and your last miles efficient. Voila.